We are live, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Comment. Tell us where you are from. Welcome to our Single to Pray book of the month, our devotional month. Please comment if you can hear me. Come on, don't be shy, guys. Good evening, everyone from all over the world. Okay, thank you, Ashley. You can hear us. Okay, we are live. We are live. Good morning, everyone, to those around the world. We have a diverse group and singles who pray. This is our devotional month, so we are highlighting Black voices on the U Version app. This is Black History Month, so we are highlighting Black voices. So at this time, feel free to tell us where you are from. I see my people on. God bless you. God bless you. Come in, share, like, tell someone about this broadcast. We have a great speaker that is with us on today. Is going to be good. Is going to empower us to live our legacy. I am Coach Danielle Pyle. I am the founder of Singles Who Pray. I am a content creator of YouVersion. I have many devotionals on there, so feel free to check it out. And thank you all for joining us in our broadcast on today. And welcome to all those who will watch the replay. And also, like I said earlier, our international viewers, we are so grateful that you are tuning in today. So this book of the month for this week, our devotional month, we do have a devotional called Walking in Confidence, Worth as a Daughter by of the King by Taryn Lean Saint. She is an author, podcaster like me, and she's a content creator. I'm going to display her devotional. And this is our devotional of the week. So feel free, you guys who are in Singles Who Pray, make sure you join the group. We will be starting on tomorrow. This is the highlight of this week. All right, so everyone come in, tell us where you are from. Tonight we will be featuring my devotional, which is currently on YouVersion. I'm going to display my devotional, Driving Your Singleness. We will be covering the topic building a godly legacy. This is going to be such a rich topic on tonight. I am so excited because you guys know, even though my, singles ministry, we focus on legacy and thriving. So this is going to be such a good topic on today. And who else is perfect for this topic? As you guys come in, please like, share, tell someone, get people on. This is going to be such a great topic. Who is so perfect for this topic? He is one of my good friends. He is one of the dopest pastors that I know. It's always a blessing to be connected to someone who, pushes you to grow, to be better, to do more. Hello, we need those people in our circles. And just by being an example, originally from Greensboro, G Borough.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
336, man.
Little New
That's where we
York.
from. That's what we call it. Grew up. That's what we consider ourselves Little New York. So
Yeah, Little New York, right?
we was wearing Timbs and slouch socks and
Right,
shorts. That's what we did. That's what we had on.
right,
And triple fat gooses in the South. I don't know. We just got that from New York,
right,
so I guess that's what it was.
right. Awesome. He is the senior pastor of Tabernacle Baptist Church located in Augusta, Georgia. He's a speaker,
Mhm.
revivalist, author, professor. He's a mentor, community leader. He serves on many boards. He travels all over the world speaking. His list of accolades is super long. Man, he's doing his thing. But he is a man after God's own heart. He's super down to earth. Welcome, Dr. E. Goodman Jr. to the show, aka PG.
Thank you so much, Danielle. It's an honor to be here and to share with so many of y'all. And just want to publicly applaud you, the work that you're doing as content creation and also podcasts and partnering you version. So that's some incredible stuff you're doing and a wonderful crowd and people who support you. So keep on doing your thing, man. Really hyped to see you do that. And it's amazing the focus that you're doing. So I want to publicly applaud you and appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're really busy. It's such an honor to have you on my show. I love Tab. That's my
Mm.
second online church. So I'm just so happy of all the things that you guys are doing, and it's how you are gracefully shifting in this pandemic. It's an amazing thing to watch. So you are a pastor and you
Hmm.
have a really busy life. So let's start off with an icebreaker. Um, what is something unique about you that people don't know? Because you're a pastor, you're doing so much, and people sometimes don't really get to know the real you.
Hmm.
So tell us something
That's an
unique.
interesting question. I don't know. I don't. That's interesting. I guess when I preach, I'm more of an open book. I guess what people may not know, I'm a diehard sneakerhead, so I collect sneaks, and
Mm,
so I'm always adding to my collection. It's funny. Right before I got on my shoe plug, anybody that's a sneakerhead know you got to have a shoe plug. He just sent me two other sneaks. He wants me to come by and check out. So yeah, I become a
okay.
sneakerhead. It's the craziest thing. So I enjoy it, researching and grabbing the latest kicks and some old school stuff. And part of that is because when I was growing up, I couldn't get them, man. My family, we couldn't afford Jordans and
Mm,
stuff like that. So now that I got a little older and I can kind of do my own thing, I kind of get my own stuff. So yeah, I'm a sneakerhead. I think
oh,
that's probably something most people may not know. I mean, if you watch Tab, if you see
okay.
them, I rock, different shoes all the time, but I'm a
Mhm.
sneakerhead. So that's it.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, he always has the dope kicks, always in style, very stylish. Yes, I can agree. I can agree. Awesome. So let's get right into it. As you guys are coming in, feel free to say hello. Tell us where you're from. Share. I'm not playing, guys. This is going to be an awesome topic on tonight. All right, so let's get right into it. One of the quotes from my devotional is focus on building something that outlives you,
Mhm.
build your legacy. And as a child, I was grateful to be able to see legacy on both sides of my family. My dad's side is from Barbados, and they were multiple property owners, and they continued the legacy when they came to America. And it was passed down generation to generation, and then the legacy still lives on. And then on my mom's side, um, my grandparents started a church in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
Brooklyn. And many people in my family are, in ministry and they're pastors. Even though I was a rebel at times, I didn't truly embrace, the ministry background, but I was able to see legacy hands on.
Mhm.
And there was a show called Finding Your Roots by Henry Louis Gates Jr. And Lena Waite, an actress, she was on the show, and they talked about her family history. Fun fact, guys, we are related. We don't know each other, but we come from the same family background. And this episode was personal for me because they went down my family's history. And I'm really familiar with some things about my family, but they went into great detail. And I learned a lot of, ideas, not ideas, sorry, details about my ancestors relocating from Barbados to the States. And they made a lot of sacrifices to get here. And Lena Waite, she discovered that our family is from Barbados. She never knew about this. And he began to dig deeper and deeper about my family history that she was completely aware of. And in your recent sermon series, it was all a dream. Absolutely love
Mhm.
it. It's one of my favorite sermons of yours. And you stated the importance of knowing where you come from. You
Mhm.
said standing on the shoulders of those who went before us. So tell us what is the importance of knowing one's heritage?
I think it's vastly important, especially, you cannot know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And especially for us who are people of color and minority communities, I think it is significant to go back and know that we aren't the first ones. So just as you shared this story about your family, my family has roots. My dad is from New Jersey. So AC Atlantic City and house. And but my grandparents, my mom from North Carolina. So I'm kind of that mixture of that. But then even going back further, and see where we have been historically. I think that's one of the things that I always try to stress, especially to our young people, but also our older people don't realize as well. Even those of us who are part of, the diaspora, those of us who are part of this African American community, I always have to tell people, when they grabbed them people from Africa, they were not grabbing slaves. They were grabbing doctors and engineers and lawyers and everything else, and they turned them into slaves. But their history, we didn't start in chains. history starts as kings and queens. We got to always recognize that and kind of hold on to that. And so, when I talk to people, young people, when I'm in the schools, when I'm at a church, whenever I do, I want them to know, hey, there's greatness in you. There's greatness that's coursing through your veins, and you always got to get that. So, I think that's the powerful thing. We had a wonderful picture of this past weekend. I kind of fell asleep during the All-Star game, but I was able to see they celebrated the 75 anniversary. This is like the 75th anniversary of the NBA, right? So they did the top 75, and just to hear some of the current players talk about how some of the oldest players impacted them. So you hear LeBron talk about how Michael impacted him, and then Michael talk about David Thompson, some of the older guys. So we're always building on each other. That's why each generation should be greater than the last one, simply because we learn so much from them. We stand on their shoulders for greatness. So for me, I just think it's important. We should do research and know where we come from. And so I want to encourage those who are out there, do the same thing. Find out who in your family, to know who I'm connected to, who I'm in relationship with, who's in my family, kind of just lets me know I'm part of something so much bigger and greater than myself. And that's the wonderful thing about it. So I think that really is the significance of knowing one's heritage for me.
Awesome, awesome. And I totally agree. And I saw some clips of like all the, older NBA players. Like I saw Michael Jordan. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is so dope. Like all of them
Mhm.
really came to this game.
Yeah,
Amazing. And like you said, we need to go back in our history because some things we discover about ourselves, we got it from our ancestors.
absolutely.
And yes, and it goes right into my next question. My granddad, he was a pastor. He died when I was about around 11 years old. And then my aunt was ordained as the pastor. I don't know if she's on, but she is an incredible woman of God. She's the greatest woman pastor that I know. She's my role model. And she did an incredible job expanding the church and advancing the legacy. And it's well beyond what my grandfather could imagine. And my grandmother, she was the founder. She had an important role in, the church and the vision being carried on. And she passed in 2018, but she
Mm,
was alive for a long period of time to see the legacy be fulfilled.
mm,
And she and my aunt, my pastor, her husband, they rebuilt the church from the ground up, and the growth and the transformation of the church, my grandmother was able to see it. And I know she was very proud of the work. And one thing I love about legacy is the foundation that is formed, before us. And you are the pastor of a historic church. The
mhm.
church has been in existence for a really long time. How many years?
137 years. 137 years. Yeah, yeah. Been
Wow,
incredible.
wow, wow.
Mhm.
And amazing. And the pastors before you, they laid the foundation. You came in, you picked up the baton, and you are just continuing the work and just doing your thing and just advancing the church. You're the epitome of, moving the legacy forward.
Mhm.
And you accomplished many things. And you're on like 3 locations now, right?
Yeah, get ready to do 4. Yeah, that's crazy.
4.
Yeah,
Oh,
uh-huh.
wow.
Yeah, we
Wow.
we get a third physical location, then we consider our global location as its own. So, just 4. Tab Main, Tab West, get ready to
Mhm.
start and finish construction on Tab North, and then Tab Global is our digital campus. So we say 4. So that's
Wow.
kind of how we flow.
4.
Mhm.
Oh, nice, nice. And you guys are continuing to expand virtually and physically, and it's just
Mhm.
amazing things that you are doing. So tell us, when you hear godly legacy, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and especially I think you should put it in context. So that's really awesome about your family, and to have that legacy continuation of the church being started by your grandmother, and continuing on with your aunt and uncle who are pushing on. So for me, the same thing as you said, in 137 years that Tabernacle has been in existence, I'm the 10th pastor, right? So I am the 15th. This is my 15th year, so I am the third longest tenured pastor, right? So some of my older folk, especially our wonderful forever first lady, who is Mother Hamilton, who is the widow of Dr. C.S. Hamilton, who served 40 years. So we had Charles Walker, who started the church, founded the church. He served for like 30 some years, and then Dr. Charles Spencer Hamilton, who's there the 40 years, did an amazing job. Has built like a Federal Credit Union, our Child Development Center, really kind of put a lot of things in place. We've had some great pastors, and they call me C3 or Charles Third because I'm Charles Edward Goodman, and I've been there the third longest. So I honestly, this is my whole thing on it. If I was to tell anybody, put any kind of phrase on it, my main job is not to drop the baton. If anybody watches track and field, the relay race, right? It's the relay race, 4x4 or whatever it is. And the main thing is not only how you transition, right? To make sure that the person hands the baton, but you don't want to be the runner that drops the baton. You want to run your part and then get ready to give it to the next person. So in this season of Tabernacle, I'm very free to expand, do crazy stuff, operate in crazy faith because I know I'm just running my part as fast and efficient as I can because I'm going to hand it off to the next person. And that's freeing because I know the vision is not ending with me. It didn't start with me. It's not going to end with me unless Jesus comes back early. It's not going to end with me. So my aim is to make sure that I am running as fast as possible and put the church and the wonderful people that I serve in the best position. So when God raises up that next person to take it over, that I can hand them a church that's further down the road, that's as committed and as faithful and doing those things. So I feel like that's it. So whoever's navigating through legacy, especially godly legacy, it's really about not dropping the baton. You want to be efficient and you want to give your absolute best. And know I'm part of a larger narrative, right? Like Tab has been great before me, and so it was amazing to be kind of connected to this amazing church, amazing legacy. So I just find comfort in that, peace in that, strength in that, in the fact that this is, my divine assignment for this season. And I'm gonna maximize it and run the best. It's interesting you raised that. Let me give this story. Most people may not know this, but a few years ago, I had the opportunity to have lunch with Dr. Gardner C. Taylor. And those of you within the Black church context, or even beyond, I mean, he's considered one of the greatest preachers of the English language. I mean, he was just incredible. He actually had a church in Brooklyn, Concord, and then he retired in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's considered great. I read all of his sermons, all of his books, and my mentor Martha Simmons had hooked it up where I literally drove from Augusta to Raleigh to just have lunch with him. We went there, man, and we had tuna salad and lemonade. Never forget it. It was the coolest kind of moment. And when I got there, the craziest thing was here he was. He's retired. He's pastored over 40 years, one of the most acclaimed preachers in the world. And when I got there, he was in his study doing Bible study. He was reading through First Corinthians. Here he is. He done preached every aspect of the Bible, and he was just sitting there reading through First Corinthians. Was just amazing to me. And the way he was talking to me about it, you would have thought that he just read this for the first time ever. Such a great passion he had for the reading. We're just kind of talking and discussing scripture. Well, I know he had to have his afternoon nap. I had to get back on the road. And what last thing I asked him before I left, I said, Dr. Taylor, would you just pray for me? And I kneeled in front of him and he laid his hands on me and prayed for me. Right. And I felt transfer. I felt empowered. And he would pass away and transition into eternal rest not too long after that. But it was like really powerful for me to have this connection, right? To have this thing. And I can have countless stories of mentors that I have met throughout the years who've embodied that to me, who I feel a obligation to because of their impact and what they wanted to do. And I just want to take that, whether it's Dr. Gardner C. Taylor, my uncle, I call Dr. Charles Edward Booth, who's one of the most profound preachers of all time, people I've had connection to and relationship with. And I'm like, I'm just going to run this race just as I am as a pastor. I do the same thing as a preacher. And I think we'll get into it later, even as it comes to my family, how I've been impacted through my grandparents and what that means for me.
Wow, amazing story. Impartation is so real, and I love this story. It's amazing, and it goes right into another question that, as far as how we manage legacy. This goes right into my next question. As you guys are coming in, please feel free to share. Tell us where you are from. Comment. Don't be shy. We are talking about legacy, building a godly legacy on tonight. So, a short story, because I feel like this, what you just said, goes right into this next question. Because sometimes legacy is beautiful, it's great, but let's talk about how sometimes how we can mismanage legacy if we're not careful. So in New York City, there's a restaurant, used to be a restaurant. It existed for some time. There were, very popular, the food, reviews, the customer service, everything about the restaurant was amazing. Even celebrities used to go there because it was the top restaurant to go to. Like you had to be there. And the restaurant, it was like, a family restaurant. It was around longer than how old I am. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but it was around before I was born. And it was just a restaurant that was known in New York City. And then they couldn't keep it up, so they sold it to someone that I knew. And everything, including the theme, the food, everything, the person kept everything, and they made it more modern, and they were going to keep the restaurant and let it keep going and things like that. And the restaurant was great for a few years, and then a major opportunity came to the restaurant, and it created a lot of drama
Mm,
surrounding the legacy of the restaurant. And this one opportunity, major opportunity in many, people's eyes, it was great and it could have been a great opportunity, but the way they managed the opportunity, it destroyed the family's legacy of the restaurant
mm,
and everything. And I remember you mentioning a couple of times in, some of your interviews, your name is the most important thing you can have. So
mhm.
tell us, how can a person avoid mismanaging his or her legacy?
Wow, that's an amazing question. It's an amazing question, a little hard question because I think it does take discernment because we don't always, oftentimes, look at the whole piece, right? And when I say that, the whole puzzle or the whole game. Growing up in high school, I started to play chess. One of my dear friends, we call him Putt. He was really a state champion in chess in high school, so he used to play us in chess, and I wanted to learn. And every time I played Putt in chess, he used to whoop me soundly. I mean, it was just awful how bad he would beat me. And the reason he would beat me is because I was playing for the next move when he was playing to win the game. In other words, I was so fixated on the next move that I oftentimes didn't see a better move or something that was right around the corner, or he was playing the whole entire board. And I feel like, especially when it comes to legacy, our names and what we have, we can be guilty of assuming that every opportunity, every move is the best move. I've learned this in life. Every good move may not be a God move, right? So I've got to discern and make sure that I'm very clear that this is a God move because every good move is not a God move. So, and you never know, especially in this day and age, you just never know. One misstep, it's unfortunate that you can't make mistakes now. We live in a very unforgiving culture. And once, it's just tough. Cancel culture is real on both sides. And so, what I would say is just be very discerning and know that every decision does matter, right? Everything is, it really does matter. Every move matters, every step matters, every post matters. And so when you take that into consideration, it gives more gravity to the moves you make. And so that's something to always be mindful of. So I would just push people to use your discernment. I don't think that's something we oftentimes pray for. One of the things that we see in scripture, Solomon was considered the wisest man of all time. The first thing he prayed to God was, God, give me wisdom. Give me wisdom. I need wisdom. And I think that if we would seek that, operate in that, is when we will see, the kind of manifestation those things happen. So I really would challenge people to make sure that you're working, praying, seeking discernment, right? God, what is my best move here? What is the best way to operate in this? And everything that may be good to me may not be good for me. So I just think that's something to really consider.
Yes, yes, powerful, powerful advice. Everything is not a God move, guys.
No.
So
Mm-mm.
thank you so much for that. Thank you. Um, there are many examples in the Bible
Mhm.
about people who left legacy, Jesus being the greatest one. Give us an example of someone in the Bible who left a legacy.
I think one of my favorite stories I think about in scripture is Genesis 50. So Joseph is at the point where he's getting ready to pass away. He's getting ready to transition. And he knows the promise for the people. The promise for the people is that you will get to Canaan, which is the promised land. And so Genesis 50 talks about how he says, all right, I know I'm about to die and y'all not in the promised land. This is what I want you to promise me. Take my bones with you. So here's Joseph, who is the bridge between them in from Goshen to Egypt. That's going to be the bridge to them in Canaan. And if you read Genesis 50, it gives a narrative, and they make a promise to him: we're going to take your bones to the promised land. But when you sojourn and follow that pathway, they carried those bones in the wilderness for the 40 years. They carried it till they got to Canaan. And when they finally got to the promised land, they fulfilled the promise by burying Joseph's bones. I could make the argument easily that beside the Ark of the Covenant, the most precious thing they had with them on the journey was the bones of Joseph, because it was always a reminder to them that you can't quit now. You have to get all the way to Canaan. There was something they were carrying that they could not release until they got to that place of promise. The bones, right? This was a tie to where they were. It was a legacy. He was a patriarch. But I think that to me always speaks of it. And I would say for any of us, our responsibility is to make sure we're carrying Joseph's bones. I don't know who your Joseph is, but we cannot release that memory, that legacy, that connectivity until we get there. You can't bury the bones in the wilderness. Neither can you bury it in Egypt. Neither can you bury it in the Jordan River. He was very specific. Take my bones to Canaan, right? So in each phase and season of the journey, I've got to make sure that I'm carrying that bones, carrying my history, carrying my legacy, carrying the promise with me, because that gives me the fuel to continue the journey. So I would just say, for anyone who's really thinking through that, I don't know who your Joseph is. I'm not sure what Joseph represents in your life. To some, it could be a desire. For others, it could be a promise. For another, it could be a familial legacy. For others, it could be a church. I don't know what that bones Joseph represents, but you cannot release that until you finish your journey. And so they had to make it, and the bones had to make it. The crazy thing is, when you look at that story, everybody didn't make it but Joshua and Caleb and Joseph's bones. Like, we talk about the two individuals, but the only three things that made it from Egypt to Canaan was Joshua, Caleb, and Joseph's bones. So I think there's something there. I think it's something for us to consider. It's an amazing story. It really challenges me to make sure that I don't release things too early, that I hold on to it, that it gives me the fuel to finish the race, right? I cannot quit while I'm carrying the bones. I've got to complete this assignment. I got to complete this season. I got to make sure that I'm following all the way through. So I think that gives us it. Like, sometimes you get tired, look at the bones. Sometimes you get frustrated, look at the bones, right? Sometimes you feel like quitting, look at the bones. That is what provides that emphasis, that thing that pushes you to make sure you are doing what you need to do to complete the assignment God puts on your life. So whatever that is for you, for the children of Israel, of Joseph's bones, I don't know what it is for you, but you cannot release it too early. You have to release it and bury it and plant it when you get to the place that God wants you to be.
Wow, wow, wow. Prophet, you are preaching on today. That was such a deep word you just gave us right now. And it just goes right into my next question. You are a motivated person and the most hard working person I have seen in my life. You work in excellence in all that you do. And during this pandemic, because you mentioned earlier, don't drop the bones, there has been many rapid changes, especially within the church and ministry. It was difficult. Pastors and leaders didn't get a break. And behind the scenes, I was able to see my own pastor, my auntie. She's on now. Hello. I saw her, embrace change, step out of her comfort zone, and also try new things. And it was so inspiring to watch. And I see you adjusting really nicely. It seems like Tab never missed a beat. You were able to expand your horizons, recruit new members, and just continue to grow and grow and grow. So in the midst of the pandemic, you guys are still evolving. So even in the midst of change, what motivates you to keep pushing the legacy forward? You just said a little bit just now, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think honestly, because I have the perspective that it's always been bigger than me. And when you embrace that, and I think the earliest you can come to some settlement of that within your soul, then it frees you to just do what you have to do. If it was just about me, I would have been quit simply because my metrics would have been based upon how I would have perceived success. But success for me is not in numbers. It is simply remaining faithful to the call and the assignment. So, so I have a larger thing that's involved. I represent an amazing group of people, Tabernacle, that pushes me. I got a name, my father's name, my grandparents' legacy that I take very seriously. So for me, it was never about myself. It was really about just making sure that I just see it all the way through. At the end of the day, honestly, here's the crazy thing: God doesn't ever demand us to be successful. The clarion call is that we be faithful. And faithfulness breeds consistency. Faithfulness is what breeds through passion. And so good to hear that your pastor's online. I mean, we'll be very honest. It was hard. It still is. Whatever people assume that was easy, man, this has been difficult. It's been rough in periods. Anyone who knows how to pivot knows that that's oftentimes the challenge, right? You pivot, but if anybody's an athlete knows sometimes you can pivot too fast and cause an injury. And sometimes you've got to learn how to play hurt. And every pastor, every ministry leader has had to learn how to play hurt, right? We've had to kind of learn how to navigate. And because of the shocks and the reverberations that have happened, it's almost like someone who's in a car accident. Like when it happens, you come out the car accident and they said, "Are you all right?" "Yeah, I'm fine. I don't feel bad." "You need to go to the hospital?" "No, I'm good." Until you wake up that next morning and it sets in, right? But you got to keep pushing, right? You got to keep kind of going. And so I think there has to be something bigger than yourself. If you're in it for you, you will never be able to complete it. You'll succumb early because your focus and your drive is based on yourself. When I know every time I stand, every time I do something, I'm representing something bigger than me. So that's always been the piece. And I think that's those of us who continue on through the ups and downs, and there are ups and downs in this. Don't ever get and think that you've mastered it. I think we've learned that you got to be a perpetual student, and through it all, I've leaned and learned more of God's grace over the last few years than any other period of life and ministry. So I think that in itself kind of speaks for it for me. Yeah. And every pastor out there, man, I commend you. Pray for you. I know it's been rough. Some of y'all make it look so easy. Uh, it ain't easy. I promise you, it is. It is hard. It is overwhelming. But that's when we learn that God's grace is sufficient. That's when we learn how to lean and depend. So, yeah, that's kind of how that thing flows. So, yeah.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And yes, shout out to all the hardworking pastors, the leaders that just keep moving forward in the midst of this pandemic. We appreciate you, all that you are doing. And you just said something that goes right into my next question about, sometimes as millennials, generational Z, we can be really selfish at times.
Mm.
We could be all about our ideas, our achievements, competing against one another, and we have the tendency to look over legacy. And when I was in my early 20s, I'm gonna be real, you guys know who tune in. I keep it real on here. I was really focused on, finishing the projects that I was involved with. I was just focusing on what I had at the moment. And I didn't really think about legacy, but God had to change my mindset to think about legacy. And as singles, sometimes we don't really think about leaving a legacy. Some singles, they may not have children, or they may have children and they feel like because they're not married that they don't have a legacy to leave. So I wanted to write this portion about building a godly legacy so singles can, refocus their minds and to change their mindset and to leave a legacy. And I have a legacy. Part of my legacy, I feel like sometimes there are different parts of legacy. One of the parts of my legacy is my sister and I, we have an organization that empower young girls to be entrepreneurs. And all this time as a child, I never knew why I was so passionate about entrepreneurship. But, as I go into my history, my family, there was a lot of entrepreneurs in my family that was from Barbados.
Mm.
So long story short, guys, because we could be here all day. So a few years ago, my sister and I, we were able to conduct a workshop in Barbados for young girls, and it was really honoring and amazing thing to do, and it was a blessing. And but the crazy thing about this whole workshop, a lot of these girls, first I thought the girls wasn't feeling us. Because the youth, they just don't get with you at first, but come to find out they really enjoyed the workshop and they said that they never thought they could become entrepreneurs. And I said all this to say to the singles that are watching on today, many people are depending on your yes.
Mm.
Legacy is not just about ourselves, it's not about our accomplishments, it's not about our name, it's about others. So I wanted to say that to empower us singles to build your legacy. So I want you to tell us why it's so important for singles to leave a lasting legacy.
Yeah, I think and legacy has to be more than just kids, right? Is it's the totality of the work and things that you leave behind. So even for me, who understands that hopefully and prayerfully that a legacy, and it's crazy, when I turned 40, everything kind of shifted, right? Like, so 20 was living, um, 30 was building, and 40s for me is legacy. So I'm really trying to set that up in the longer outreach, whether it's financially, I have some financial goals that I want to exceed beyond me. Um, Ministry, I'm in a sweet spot of what you would consider ministry can be. And just trying to figure out what that looks like beyond. So, I think if you're in the realm of ministry, we need to do a better job of publishing so that we can leave some physical things behind. So I'm hopefully pushing people and especially in communities of color that we really get serious. We don't have much material and content left behind. We need to figure that part out. Also, I would say um, some could be your work ethic and relationships. I think that's huge. And we got to make it bigger than us. I hate that you said your group is more selfish, and that's part of our challenge because the generation before you was like, get it done. You got to do this. You got to do this. Got to do this. And we really became singularly focused in how well we do. But I will say that probably to the detriment of our communities, because I never want to rise above the ability to help my community out. Right. So what's the point of me prospering if the people around me are not prospering? What's the point of me thriving if my brothers and sisters are not thriving as well? Right. I'm not against prosperity. I think it's a beautiful and blessed thing, but you shouldn't be the only one prospering. And we owe it to those coming behind us to leave something. Once again, I'm as a pastor, and that's unfortunate, especially in my context. A lot of times when our community passes, we take, we got to have fundraisers to bury people. Whereas a lot of other communities, when they transition, they leave. And so, I really think that that's something we should consider is like, what is it we're leaving? What am I leaving? Right? Am I leaving bills? Am I leaving heartache, dysfunction? Like what we leave is important. And why I think that's significant is I'll be honest, we just never know the time or hour. We used to assume that we will live a long time. You don't know how long you live. But think about some of the people who passed early and the legacy they got. So Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated at 39. Was it 39? I think it was 39. He passed. Can you imagine 39? Right? That sounds so young, But think about how much stuff he's left. We still reading his books. We still talking about his dream. We still all that's going on. So at the end of the day, I think that if no matter what stage you're in, no matter how old you are, no matter what demographic you're in, that's a question that you ought to be able to sit down and think through. What am I leaving? Not what am I taking, but what am I leaving? And I think that's really something to really kind of navigate and ponder through. So everyone out there listening, that's a critical question to raise yourself up. What am I leaving? And today I have an opportunity to add to that. Every day's a gift. That's why we call it the present, right? And so every day I have an opportunity to figure out what more can I add to what I'm leaving and the legacy and who can be blessed. Like I want my community to be better with me coming. Here's the crazy thing. We said about church, but I think we could also make the same assessment about us personally. Like, they say, well, if your church was not in your neighborhood today, would people notice? Right. And that's a fair question. But the other fair question is if we pass the day, would we be missed? And would others notice? Right. So I just think it's just something to do. I'm not trying to be morbid, and I know we don't like talking about death and transition, but at the end of the day, we will. And the critical question is, what am I leaving? And so I just think it's something that we all should think about.
Wow, wow. Powerful, powerful. What am I leaving? Such a great, thing to think about. What are we leaving? And this goes right into my next question is about community. And one thing I believe that is important for the church is community outreach. And your church is very active in the community. You truly believe in being in the hands and feet of Jesus, whether it's school supplies, toy drives, feeding families, providing lunch for teachers. I love that concept. You're always doing things, and your church served as a vaccination site during the
Mhm,
pandemic, which I know that was definitely needed for the Black community.
mhm,
And one thing I love that you did as well is you helped Augusta's local businesses.
mhm,
And being people of color, sometimes we're not always afforded the same business funding as
mhm.
other groups. And there's a long list of many things that you do for your community, which is awesome. And you guys are doing great things. So, how does identifying your community needs
Mhm.
help you to leave a legacy?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And what you're really talking about is if people ask me the top three things I think we do well as a church, number one, worship. Number two, our care for our congregation. Number three would be community outreach. So we're very serious about letting people know that we're invested in our community. So a lot of things that you mentioned is cool. Something interesting. We haven't even got all the things worked out in it, but we're really looking forward to. So this for every Lent we do like this financial fast and really challenge people to like learn how to manage your money. So it's a financial fast, but we also um, attribute to it and partner with it a big offering that we call the Hope Seed offering. And what you're alluding to a few years ago, we was able to raise over 70 some $1,000s to give to 40 African American small businesses. We know that a lot of our people in our community weren't able to have access to a lot of that money. This year we're going to do something a little different. I'm hoping to raise about 40 to $50,000. That this year we're focusing on mental health. So we're going to find some African American mental health institutions or therapists that we're going to invest in, but also we're going to take a portion of what we raise to also sponsor people to have therapy. So we're working out a lot of that because that became a major issue within our community. Matter of fact, a lot of our kids, I was just at a invited to a school board meeting here in my local community, and one of the things that we talked about was a high suicide rate of our young people. We will not know the full emotional wear and tear that the last few years have had. And it's been hard on adults. I can only imagine how hard it's been on our young people. So we're trying to navigate how to do that. I really want to get some more help. I really want to stop the stigma within our community of therapy. I believe in Christ and a counselor. I just think it's okay to sit there. I myself have benefited from it, and I know it's important. And I don't want people to feel like they got to struggle and fight alone, right? Um, so that's some of the things that we're really thinking about. So what I would say is, you got to know where your community is. So a reason I brought that mental health piece up is because, I'm in constant conversation with the leaders of our city. What are some of the issues that are big? Like, so when I challenged them to give me the top 5 things. That's why they said infrastructure, pastor. But that's why during Christmas we didn't just do a toy drive. This year we added a coat drive as well, because one of the other issues we found was that they said our homeless demographic is really growing in Augusta. And man, I'm not sure how it is in New York or other places, but it got cold here. And we ain't used to that cold in the South, right? Like, that's been really crazy. But we wanted to be a blessing. And my church really stood up, man. I got to give a shout out to the most impactful place on the planet. They're just some amazing people who, whenever the call goes out, they do whatever they got. They ride or die. Like, we're going to do it. Let's go be a blessing. And man, we just grabbed all these coats, got all these amazing coats, and we're able to be a blessing. And I really appreciate that, because at the end of the day, it's not it's really about making an impact and touching people and making a difference in people's lives, right? Like, it may not seem big to us, but that coat is going to be significant to someone. And other things that we try to do. So I would tell people is whenever you're clear and try to help others, at the end of the day, it's always going to come back for you. I believe in the reciprocity. I believe in what Genesis 3 talks about with Genesis 8 talks about seed time, harvest time. There's always reciprocity. When you sow, you will reap. And when you are intent on making sure to make other people's lives better, I just believe that the law of how the cosmos works through the divinity and sovereignty of God, it will always come back on you. And whenever you do something for others, there's joy in that. Like, that's greater than any tangible gift, any check or honorarium. There's joy in being a blessing to others. So we always close out every service saying that same motto, like, because I've been blessed, I'm going to be a blessing. Right. And that's a reciprocal way to continue to do it. Every day I challenge our church and I challenge myself. How can you bless somebody today? How can you pay it forward? And I just believe it always comes back. So those of you listen, man, do something. It don't have to be big, right? It's really not about the quantity as much as it's the quality. And make sure you're just making a difference in people's lives. So I just think that's really dope. I'm really drawn to people who really have a passion to help other people.
Wow, awesome. Shout out to Tab. You guys are doing amazing things. It's a blessing to be a blessing to someone. And I just love that. It just goes into my next question. You care about people reaching their full potential, and that's what I admire a lot about your church as well, is that everyone is using their skills, their talents to advance the kingdom by your music ministry, pastoral care, your digital ministry, youth ministry, and all other ministries. And pastors and leaders usually recognize the gifts of the people of their church, and they assist them in development. Perhaps a single person is listening. They have no idea what their gifts and talents are. What are some ways to identify your gifts and talents as a single person?
Yeah, the gift assessment test is always good. I always challenge people to kind of tap into that. There's some great things in that. But also, you will never know your gift and talent if you're not tapped into the one that created you. So I do think that there is an aspect of us that oftentimes to seek God and really begin to get this get this understanding of why we're here. That's a large and vast question, but can only be answered by God, right? But then also, I will say a lot of times our gifts and talents are couched and wrapped in our passions. What are you passionate about? What gives you joy? Like you said, growing up, you was passionate about entrepreneurship. You didn't understand why, but it's something that you've had since you were a kid, right? I've always kind of loved doing what I do. I've always had a special kind of affinity towards the word. Public speaking was never really kind of a fearful thing for me. And so I just operated and tapped into my passions. And I tell people, I'm close to pastoring close to 20 years now, and I haven't worked because I literally live out my passion every single day. It's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't get into my passion. Now, does my passion tire me out? Yes. Does it get frustrating? Yes. But it continues to push me. So I would really challenge people to find your passion. See what you're really passionate about. Not what other people say you should be passionate about. No, what are you personally passionate about? Two, talk to God. Talk to God. about God, why am I here? What is the larger purpose of my life, right? And then three, as I said, those gift assessments are always good. I think they kind of put things in proper order. I've been really challenging my congregation is that oftentimes don't be so set in in thinking you got to do one thing forever, right? There's always an evolution that can take place. And so always go back and renegotiate. My purpose will stay the same even if my assignment changes, right? So my purpose is to love, to lead and love people into a maturing relationship with Jesus Christ. My assignment currently is as a pastor, but then I'm also a professor. I'm also a content creator. My purpose hasn't changed, even my assignment and my titles do. So I think that's another thing that I think people need to know and be okay with that. Maybe you weren't gifted to be singing in the choir for 35 years. Maybe you choir, then you move to administration or whatever it may be. Understand it's okay to shift and change. You don't have to be set in one thing. And there's seasons that you can renegotiate and figure out what am I passionate about now? Right? Because what I was passionate about in my 20s is a little different than what I'm passionate about in my 40s. And so, I'm always tapping into that and through that vein and figuring out what I need to do.
Awesome, awesome. I love that because sometimes, like you said, we don't always stay in the same assignment for many years. Like I believe singles is pray is an assignment for now, and God may shift me into something else later on in life. So I just love what you just said about being open that
Mhm.
your purpose will stay the same, but your assignment may change in your on your journey in life. And I'm gonna do a commercial break really quickly, guys.
Mhm.
If you are tuning in, this is Singles Who Pray Book of the Month. This is our devotional month. I am Coach Danielle Pyle. I am the founder of Singles Pray. I'm also a content creator for You Version. For this month is Black History Month. So we are highlighting Black voices on the You Version app. And today we are discussing building a godly legacy. We have Dr. Charles E. Goodman Jr. He is a senior pastor of Tabernacle Baptist Church located in Augusta, Georgia. We're having a great, powerful topic on tonight's discussion. It's so good, it's so rich. So continue to tune in. We only have like one more question left, but we may take some Q&As. Do you have time for Q&As?
That's fine. Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, okay. All right. So in honor of Black History Month, tell us who inspires you. We know Black History is every day. But who inspires you to do the work that you are doing on today?
My grandparents, I mean, more specifically, they raised me. My grandfather passed in '08. No greater individual in the world to me. I'm still impacted by his presence. He worked 40 years, didn't miss a day of work. He was just the absolute best person in the world. So, him, my grandmother who raised me, she turns 95 this year, and she's still kicking and doing what she do. So, it's those that have been close to me that have impacted me the most. I have amazing mentors that God has graced me with, some incredible pastors and leaders, even some people from afar. Um, and I would tell people don't be afraid to have mentors from afar. You don't have to have constant contact with people to be blessed by them, right? I'm amazed by people in different genres and different spheres of different things of life, right? Not just in ministry, but in different spheres of their expertise. I don't know them personally, but they are mentors, and I learn from their drive. I learn from what they do. So I could run that list all the time, even people in history. But you know, it's my grandparents hand down. I just yeah, there's no greater people. My grandfather, I still think of him every single day, and he what he instilled in me: hard work, love God, love your family, give your best, and if you fail, get back up and try again. So I think that's just sticks with me. So through it all, that's it. They're the ones that push me. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And I know your grandmother is so proud of you, your grandfather smiling down on all the hard work that you are putting in and just, being a change agent in this world. Do you have any last words? We're going to take some questions, but do you have any last words about legacy
Mhm.
or any encouragement, insight?
Yeah, thank you again. Once again, it's been an awesome opportunity. I appreciate Danielle coming to share. I just would tell people stay faithful. You know, we've gone through a tough period, and that's okay. Toughness makes you stronger. And oftentimes, in the strength that we have exhibited, we've also learned that our weakness, we've seen the power of God move in some powerful ways. So I would just tell people stay committed, be committed to making a difference in someone's life every single day and give God your absolute best. I just really, really am drawn to that. Many people ask, how do you accomplish all the stuff that you do? I really don't know. I really don't even think about it. I just kind of do. And because I know it's a greater call, greater purpose, greater assignment that's on me. And, you know, who much is given, much is required. And a lot of times we ask for a lot, but not willing to sacrifice for it. And with everything, there's a sacrifice of time, sacrifice of blood, sweat, and tears. It's going to be a sacrifice of something. So just continue to stay committed. I would just tell people to stay faithful and give your absolute best to God and try to make someone else's life better every single day. If you wake up with that motto, I believe that, man, you're living a great life, regardless if you get $1 million or $1 billion, whatever that is. But when you invest in other people and make other people's life, that's valuable and priceless. So I just think that's some things I'm thought about.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for just dropping the gems. Like, I'm so loving this conversation. You are empowering us about legacy. And it's just an honor to have you on my show on today. It's been a long time
Mhm.
to connect on, on this platform, but we are so grateful for you being on the show today. At this time, we're going to take some questions from the audience. Don't be shy. If you have a question for our speaker, as you guys are listening, this is our Single to Pray devotional month. We have a great speaker with us, Dr. Charles E. Goodman Jr., and he will be taking questions at this time. So don't be shy, guys. Ask some questions. We have someone that is going to, help us on today. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys some time. Everyone wants to be shy on today, but okay, great conversation. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Any questions for our speaker? All right, going once, going twice. Well, at this time, Dr. Goodman, can you
Mhm.
give us your social media handles where they can follow you, connect with you?
Absolutely. You can catch me up on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff at DRCEGJR. So that's my Instagram handle. I think it's my Facebook handle as well. Our website for our church is
Yes.
tbcaugusta.org. And I think that yeah, a lot of stuff that goes through there as well. And so yeah, that's just me. And yeah, just once again, I'm so honored to be a part of the Singles Who Pray podcast. Thank you again, Danielle, for letting me come on and hang out. And for y'all that tuned in, thank y'all so
Yes.
much. Y'all been an incredible, attentive. I've been checking out the comments on the
Yes.
side. So I was like, I hope I'm not boring people. And
Yes,
I
they
hope
are
it's
great.
been a super,
No,
super duper long day. So I was like, Lord, give me
no, it's
grace and energy. I don't I don't want to bore the people. So that's been pretty
no,
cool. So
it's
guys,
been
thank y'all
dope.
so much for letting this little country
Yes,
boy come on and
yes,
just share some of my heart. So once again, Danielle, thank you. Everyone out there. I see a whole
yes,
lot of Pyle people on there. That's the
yes.
family crew. Uh,
We are
that's
deep.
dope.
We are deep.
I
Yeah,
can
that's my
tell.
I love my
I
family.
want to know where the name comes from. Where does the name come from?
Well, okay, so that's so interesting, right? So, as I stated earlier, my family's from
Mm,
Barbados,
okay.
and our last name is Pyle.
Okay.
When we came to America, they changed it to Pyle. So when
Oh
we
wow.
when I went to Barbados a couple of times, they always say like, "Oh my gosh, Pal is such a popular name out there." But as I
Wow.
did research, of course, Pal, is from, I don't want to say it, but from slave owners. They
Mm,
had Pile. name, and we know the whole family lineage thing. But yes, we changed it to Pyle. We had to do a quick change on.
That's dope. I get it. No, it's very unique. No, I think it's cool. I've changed mine
Thank
too.
you,
Bump that.
thank you.
Y'all gonna claim. We're
Right,
gonna
right.
claim this name back. We're gonna change
We're
that I
gonna
to
change the
Y.
name and make it up.
Yes. I to the Y.
I know
I
you'll.
love it. It's dope.
We know
I think
you're
it's awesome.
young. You're young, but I think you know about. I don't know about the show 'cause I didn't see it. I'm much younger. But you ever heard of Gomer Pals? I feel like I
I
used to get
do.
teased about that
Yes.
show.
Gomer
Okay,
Pyle.
okay.
That's
I never
no,
saw it.
that's the Andy Griffin show, right? Is that Andy Griffin?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I I think
It ain't
it's.
Andy
I
Griffin
never
show?
saw it, but my dad was always like,
Gomer Pyle.
he's
Yeah, it's the
yeah,
Andy Griffin
Gomer
show. My grandma used
Pal.
to watch it. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay.
Oh,
Cool. Makes sense. I get it. I rock with it.
it's. Well, we have a question. If you
Okay.
like to answer, I think it's a question. Okay, so
Well,
and it's something that you mentioned earlier about your church is doing
mm.
therapy. She said that there's always a negative reaction to therapy and counseling. What do you recommend to change this?
No, I just think as more leaders have to talk about it, and we just gotta continue to make it more acceptable. And that's on us. Who people consider influencers need to be embrace that platform of saying it's okay. That's leaders in church, that's leaders, and now, even if we're not the influencers, people in just everyday life have to see it as well. So I just think it's a continued process. Just that's just part of it. So just to put it be on our platform and blow our bully horn, just talk about how important it is and tell our own stories. I think it will just begin to slowly chip away to make it acceptable for people. Just know, no, this is cool. You can get it. Yeah. So I see someone said it ain't no Gomer Pyle. There is a Gomer Pyle show. All right, cool. I thought it was Andy Griffin. Man, I
Right,
did. I
right.
really
And I agree with you said.
did.
And to the question, I agree with just being the influencer and just, going out there telling people. Like, in my own life, I was the first person in my family to go to therapy. So sometimes we just have to change the narrative in our families, get therapy, advocate for therapy, and show people that this is not something bad. Like it's going to help us with our self-development. So that was good. Thank you so much for that question. That was my auntie. But so at this time, can you pray us out?
Absolutely.
Um,
And it
before,
was it
yes,
was a
thank you.
portion of the Andy Griffin show. This is like the he was from Mayberry and he went on to the
Okay.
US Marine Corps. So yes. So
Okay. Yeah, my dad
I
is
just
like,
I knew it was something. I knew it was something with the Andy Griffin show because his first appearance was in the Andy Griffin show in December 24th,
okay.
1962. I want to make sure. Yeah. So I went too off. Just want to make sure. All right.
My mom
All
said,
right.
yes, you are right. You're
Sounds good.
right. Don't let
Let
the
us
pals get on.
I see it. They gang on you. I get it.
They deep.
I
We from
acquiesce.
Brooklyn. I don't know now.
I see. Listen, I see. I rock with it.
Yes.
Cool. Let's pray, guys. Lord, we thank
Yeah.
you again for the grace
Okay.
you extend towards us, and we appreciate this amazing platform and the opportunity to share and kind of conversate about legacy, what you want all of us to once again be a part of, realizing that we have to leave something. And so, just as much as you've given us a legacy of Christ, may we also leave a legacy of faith and commitment, love and joy to the world. There's so much hatred and divisiveness that's going forward now. So let us be people of the light. So, Lord, I just pray that as more people engage this conversation and think through it and figure out what little part they can provide, knowing that it doesn't matter about the quantity, it's the quality. And we really want to be people who are serious. We have so much that has been invested in us from people who've come before. And we know that we can see much further because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. So, Lord, I thank you for this platform. I lift up Danielle now. I pray that you'll continually cover her and keep her, allow her to operate in the tremendous gifts that you blessed her. And I just pray that you would once do exceedingly abundantly and great things in her life through this ministry and other areas that she's doing it. And so many people are praying for her and connecting. So we're just proud to be a part of the process and see where it will go. But ultimately, God, we just pray that you'll continue to lead the way for us. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. We pray. Amen.
Amen. And thank you guys for tuning in to our Singles Who Pray Devotional Month. Thank you to our amazing dope speaker. Dr. Charles E. Goodman Jr. Feel free to follow him, follow Tab. If you guys are single, listening, your first time joining Singles Who Pray group, we would love to have you and have a blessed week. God bless.
Y'all be good. Peace.
Peace. Bye, guys.